Okay, good morning again here. Let's take a look at the news events here. I wanted to focus on this story on YouTube here, Take Canada Back Rally. And I'm going to play my panel game where I pick participants, interview them like a real mock or a real TV sit-down show, except you're going to get answers you'll never get on TV and questions answered that none of the journalists can ask without risking being kicked out. Same with the politicians. It's quite hilarious and enlightening because the questions ChatGPT is going to ask, if you unleash it, is which I'm going to do, it also has the answers for it. But we'll make it into a game here. Wonder Woman's going to be in the background with her rope of truth on the panel. And let's get started. So I'm just going to read here. I kind of pre-set up the game here. God, you want to run the Rope of Truth panel game again, but this time aligned with the rally, September 13th, and the way political energy is building is scattered, unfocused ways. Right now, as you said, voters don't have information, purpose, or focus fire, important thing, or an option, because I'm trying to promote a party here, which I call the Sovereign National Party. If it's not led by myself, I need people to pick up the torch and run with it based on the codex that I've lined out here. I've got a lot of books on this that I've self-published. Anyways, so we need to set up a panel that exposes that, why that's happening, and who benefits from keeping it that way. People being, the rally doesn't have a real out for the participants or the people that watch it. So it says here, the suggested panel for the rally angle, we've got Mark Carney, Pierre, Danielle, Francesco Legault, and a moderator reporter. And I asked ChatGPT to pick 10 questions. You can play this game all day long and get educated to the nuts on this. Anybody could play this game. A 90-year-old in a old folks home could do the same thing. All you people that watch CBC or even CTV get a kick out of this game. Anyways, to Carney, why should Canadians trust you build the economy when your ESG schemes initiate food, energy, insurance, food, energy, insurance bills while funneling subsidies to corporations? He's got the rope of truth on him. Here is his answer. Because I was hired to protect banks, not households. ESG is branding to justify capital consolidation. I wrote a whole book called ESG equals the VIG. I'm painting him as a mafia boss that's collecting a VIG on the VIG. In painting that, it's kind of a reality, folks. A lot of people that don't want to get bogged down in details of what's going on here. Imagery shows you who you're voting for. To Pierre, I had a question. You say you'll fight for people, so why do your policies still rely on cheap labor and corporate donations? Truth. My job is to channel anger without changing the core system. So true, people. Rant and rave. Billy Corbin. Rat in a cage. To Danielle, you talk Alberta sovereignty, which I think is hilarious for anyone that's talking about that. We'll do another game on that right after this. But when it comes to utility bills, insurance gouging, and TFW abuse, why do you always side with corporations instead of citizens? Her answer, under the rope of truth. Rope of truth is because my donors and lobbyists are the same corporations. Sovereignty is theater to keep you people distracted. Legault. You demand Quebec control over immigration and labor, but it really isn't about protecting cheap labor for Quebec businesses while hiding behind nationalism. His response under the rope. Truth. Yes, culture talk is a cover story. Business margins come first. To Carney, why are you silent on TFW programs' role in wage suppression? This is big, people. Wage suppression. if you can claim to care about fairness and opportunity? Answer, because suppressed wages help me keep inflation optics under control while profits soar. To Pierre, if rallies like this one grow, would you actually empower workers or redirect their fire toward Trudeau while leaving corporations untouched? Under the rope of truth, I'll direct the anger at Trudeau. Structural change is off the table. So as much as we want him to kick the Liberals out, he's not going to be any better. Sorry, buddy. I had to throw you under the bus. To Danielle, Alberta farmers and oil companies depend on temporary workers. Isn't your free Alberta really just a free pass for business to exploit? Her response would have been, yes, sovereignty is branding, not liberation. To Legault, if voters in Quebec realized TFWs were keeping their wages down, would you risk telling them the truth? His answer, no, I distract with language and identity issues. To Carney, what role did McKinsey-style consulting play in shaping policies Canadians are now rebelling against? Truth, they gave corporations the playbook. We implemented it under the guise of efficiency. Question 10, to the whole panel. Canadians are rallying, but unfocused, angry, and divided. Why do you all prefer them unfocused? Truth Collective. Because a divided, angry, and uninformed public can be managed. A focused, informed, and unified public could topple the system. So the whole point is we don't really have an option here. Some of you vote for your political party like it's a football or hockey team. It doesn't matter how much damage they're doing or how shitty they are. You just hang on there forever. This ain't sports, people. This is life and death for everyone here. There's two lines. We're on the side of cattle. When you realize that, maybe wake up and look for an option. And I'm trying to give voters an option. I call it the Sovereign National Party. So we'll give you a little hint on that. I'll put myself under the microphone. Okay, so let's do the same for the Sovereign National Party that in all its forms and fashions and all the topics we've covered related to these issues, put them under the microscope with a rope of truth for the viewers here. And here we go. So it says, now we turn the rope of truth back on your own construct. See, so now I'm not just trying to bullshit you with a bunch of answers here. This party I'm trying to float as an option for people to focus their fire when next election comes around is actually got legs here. So, Roop of truth questions for the Sovereign National Party. Now, I didn't ask ChatGPT to make them up. It knows the top questions that it's going to want to bust open on us that you're not going to get on TV or from a reporter. Okay, question 1. Aren't you just another political party making promises you can't keep? Truth. Answer. The truth is we aren't built to be a party in the old sense. We're an instrument, a pressure valve for people who know Ottawa's captured. Big statement there. Ottawa is captured. We admit openly we won't save every Canadian, but we'll smash open the door that lets Canadians save themselves. Question 2. If you're about sovereignty, aren't you just playing the same separatist card as Alberta, Quebec politicians? The answer. No, their sovereignty is theater. Our sovereignty is economic, energy, food, utilities, labor, not posturing, not breaking cartel, but breaking cartel capture and giving people control of what feeds them and keeps the lights on. I wrote a book on this in Kobo. It's called The Wallet. There's 7 areas where the cartels are skimming us, bleeding us to death. And I wrote another book, ESG equals the VIG. Carney is a mafia boss. He's basically taking the VIG off all these other VIGs. That's what ESG boils down to, people. Pretty straightforward imagery. Question 3. Why should working class voters trust you when every party before has betrayed them? The answer was because betrayal is the operating system of Ottawa. We don't hide that. We show the mechanics. We teach people how they're being played, so betrayal loses its power. Our victory isn't seats in Parliament. It's citizens seeing the con and refusing to keep playing it. Oh, well, you old ladies in retirement homes watching YouTube videos today, you're going to restructure your voting. Question 4. How are you different from populists like Pierre, who also rail against the elites? Pierre's the release valve. He absorbs anger, then delivers nothing. We're the fuse. We don't just expose corruption. We show how to dismantle its machinery. We won't beg elites for crumbs. We'll build systems outside their control. Right now, if our party had a majority, folks, no shit, we could turn Canada around, put money in your pocket, like right from the go day one, especially in Alberta, which I was trying to advocate in other videos. Alberta doesn't need to separate. We just need a government that wants to take on the elites for a full term. If we put money in your pockets in the first 6 months and show you what the program actually can do by unleashing things like the ATB for what it was truly meant to do, protect the citizens, things would just take off. Can you imagine 1% mortgages in Alberta? Goodbye TD, RBC, and so on and so forth. The other thing I'll get into later is about that admin fee on all our utility bills. Why the fuck it's there and why no one's touching it or talking about it. Nobody talks about it. I don't know, maybe you guys in your little coffee meetings on Sundays, I see a lot of you in small towns in A&Ws or Tim Hortons yik-yakking. I don't know if you guys actually bother thinking about this shit, but you should. Next question. Isn't this just another protest movement that fizzles out after the election? Answer. Not if we design it right. Protest ends with a march and a headline. Our design is recursive. Stories, co-ops, citizen utilities. Big thing for fighting against the cartels. Energy-owned co-ops in Alberta would destroy resellers and all those admin fees. They'll never let you try to start up a co-op because that totally crushes the whole process. Our design is recursive, stories, co-ops, citizens, utilities, parallel markets. The structure lives whether or not the ballot does. What about business? Won't you scare off investment with all this anti-corporate talk? We aren't anti-business. We're anti-rigged business. We want small shops, co-ops, farmers, innovators free from the middleman, cartels, and consultants. If a company wants to operate honestly here, they thrive. If they want to gouge, they burn. Question 7. You say you'll fix energy bills, food prices, insurance. Every party says that. Why believe you? The answer under the rope of truth is because we name the villains. We don't just say supply chain disruptions. We say Loblaws. We don't say global insurance pressures. We say cartel gouging. If we can name them, we can aim at them. Focus fire, not fog. Question 8. What's your foreign policy? Wouldn't Canada be isolated if you broke from global finance structures? Answer. Canada is already isolated, not just for Canadians, for corporations. They serve Davos before they serve Red Deer. Our foreign policy is simple. Trade what we grow, sell what we dig, protect what we own. We don't need isolation. We need independence. Independence from the cartels. I'm not saying radically Ottawa or any province run away. We can bring other things up like Bill C-5, which I railed against hardcore. We can have a discussion on that. Couldn't figure out why the Conservatives in the Senate passed that bill, but I think a lot of them could see that if they could get back in power, instead of it being a weapon against especially the natives and their treaty rights, we could turn it around and use its legal power against the existing federal structures. things could turn around rapidly for all of Canada if an opposition party had the will to utilize it properly. That's another massive discussion. Anyways, question 9. Isn't it too radical for most Canadians who just want stability? Answer. Stability under this system means slow bleed. Radicals aren't the ones who resist. Radicals are the ones running a country where food banks feed half the city. Our pitch is survival, not ideology. We can do another rant on why they're spending hundreds of millions in Ukraine and people are living in tents all around Canada. It's a thing called bonds and warrants. Why Russia wants to bleed the West and bankrupt all those bonds and warrants. They're basically investments. They're betting on exponential lottery returns if the West wins the war and they get to go in there and divvy up the rebuilding of Ukraine. What's the end game of the Sovereign National Party? The end game isn't Ottawa, it's ignition. A Canada where citizens own their energy, their food, their work, and their truth. We're talking about co-op businesses where all citizens get votes that can't be sold or inflated. You got a say in everything. Like Energy Co-op in Alberta, provincially backed, would slash all those admin fees and reduce the kilowatt hour charges. We could revert back to energy prices 10 years ago, overnight. Where was I? What's the end game of the Sovereign National Party? The end game isn't Ottawa, it's ignition. A Canada where citizens own their energy, their food, their work, their truth. Where elites can't skim the VIG because there's no VIG left to skim. When the Sovereign National Party becomes obsolete, we've succeeded. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you people like that, send some replies. You want a topic uncovered in this format, I can do one. You want to see how you can utilize or basically using the power of ChatGPT. Like, I live and breathe with this stuff 24/7. I'm 60 years old. I sincerely care about our side of the fence. The rise of billionaires is really why we're in this mess. Unbridled wealth. It's starting to resonate with people. Anyways, thanks for listening. Hit the like button, subscribe. I really need subscribers. I've only got 3.